So you cannot calculate 10% based on what is remaining. You calculate it based on what they call it no, wait, let me finish now. Let me give you all civil service. Total emolument. And I felt, so I did legalism. So once whether it's whole tight or part time, once I've given it, I feel free. How can you be free? How can my child come home? They say we should bring money in school. Say, hey, the percentage of my income that goes towards your education has been exceeded for the term. So tell your school we shall pay. We don't do that now. When we see the things of God as our things, we're calculating for who? I'm talking about Creflo. I said, I bet this is old gist. I'm sorry. That time when that the Frozen, remember that Frozen guy? When he was talking, I disagree with that guy 100%, and I still disagree with him till today because he had the wrong spirit. Yes. That guy had the rebellious spirit. I will never agree with him for anything. His spirit is wrong. But Creflo tried to set some things in place. Doesn't have a wrong spirit. But the Frozen daddy, that guy's spirit is no. Is that guy saved? Not sure. No commandment. Try and know God. Try and understand him. Try and walk in a manner that is worthy of him to please him in all respects. That should be your primary thing. And is this my sleeping? I'm not joking. Do you know? Even sleep. One day, God has given me good sleep. You know, but good things can easily become bad. So one day, as a banker, sit down. How many hours have you slept today? I see the sleep just a plenty. After sleeping, and I went to the office. As I sat down like this, I slept off again. Now, I'm not usually a coffee drinker. At one morning like that, I woke up, went to have breakfast, and I drank coffee, good-sized coffee. I said, today, your eye must shine. So I have work to do. I know the truth. I was not like this because of God. I'm serious. I said, God, just sleep like an idiot. You know, there's this idiotic sleep. It's in the Bible like that. Little sleep, little slumber, becomes plenty sleep. Plenty slumber, then your poverty comes like an armed man. You know what an armed man is? He kidnap you. The day I sat down, I got to the office, I sat down. I stood to walk. I said, empower me. I stood, I said, look, I will stand. So I stood. Everybody went to my office, like, why is this man standing? One of my comments in my mind said, sleep. They have to account to the Lord these several hours of today. There was a time that Kingdom World Work wanted to kill me. I'm telling you. Then God began to send me help. Israel took some things away from me. People were just coming, taking things. So I now had time. So I said, thank you. Hey, God didn't give you time to go to Bahamas. Yeah, it's true. People don't, listen, let me tell you something about money. Those of you who God gives extra money, if you are flying around the world anyhow, He will, sit down there. One day you go explain. God will ask you some, let me tell you, all the pastors that lie, that lie to collect money, there are different kinds of pastors. All right? There are people who are not believers. They just be like, say, money day. If I had an argument with somebody that day, I told him that it pains me when you talk like this. I was telling him that Bishop Oyedepo was bidding men because it's lucrative business. That one. I said, have you ever heard the word mission in life? Have you ever heard of the word mission? Some people do some things as a mission. Because the platform was not all believers. I want to tell you, then those of us that keep increasing number of radio stations we broadcast on, we must be making money from each one. Because if we're not making money, why are we increasing it? That's a warped logic. Very warped logic. Very warped logic. Very, very twisted logic. This is SPD. It's a very warped logic. You can't be saying that, okay, those of us who are now increasing the number of radio stations on which we are broadcasting is because each one is giving us money. But what we are doing as a mission. The people who pay for those radio broadcasts hardly listen to them. Not because they're angry with the radio broadcast, but they're not even in the place. Now, back to what I'm saying. So, there are some preachers. So let me tell you the truth. Now, I'm not saying some it is. You know, one of the things I told God those days, I said, the Lord, please, oh, after I encountered some serious teaching, I saw, when I saw, it was as if I was seeing heaven, you know, serious, just instruction of the word of God. Literally, I lost desire for you want to have money, you want to have car, you want to have house. And the funny part, you know who preached that message? Anyway, let me not even go there. There are two people God used to instill that spirit in me. Then I told the Lord one thing one day. I said, Lord, please, you don't have to give me money, you don't have to make me rich. I said, however, can I make a request? If I'm going to be poor financially in life, don't give me a wife. I meant it. I meant it. I wasn't joking. What was my reason? And I told him straight. I said, Lord, you know, if I'm hungry and by myself, it's not a problem. But if I'm hungry and there's a wife and there are children, he didn't want trouble. With a shipwreck, instead of you to be thinking of the gospel, thinking about your children at home. Inside a shipwreck. That's how to drown. But those who don't have children at home, then the angels will carry them. The doesn't even care. But those who are saying, hey, they're the ones that will drown. What am I say? I understood it could be difficult. And the fact that there are preachers who that is the situation. School is starting next week. One guy is going to university. Two are in secondary school. One is in primary school. Today, about the preacher I heard of that deferred admission for his children for a whole year. There was nothing wrong with them. They passed JAMB by themselves, passed WAEC, they were okay. But he didn't have money to pay. Thank God the one, from the story I heard, that one he didn't lie. He wasn't a missionary, so there's nobody to lie to when you're a missionary. Who do you want to deceive? But imagine that I come to church. As I'm coming, like all of you are parking one after the other. Park a Mercedes-Benz, park a Camry, park a, where's madam with Honda? Park your Honda, you're parking. And then you walk up as your cloth is shining. He said, Pastor, you have been a blessing. In my mind, today I'm a curse. That's how I'll be thinking. Nonsense blessing. Is it good? That's what I'll be thinking of. See, I'm not saying it is ideal, but it's natural. So many people cross the line at that point. Like that man I told you the story I heard, I don't know him personally, but I know one person that knows him. He had a new car. So he went for minister's conference. He said, man of God, Pastor Kemote, this is a nice ride. How did you get him? It's not Kemote, I beg, I'm just joking. No. He said, I want one brother for church to give me the car. Oh, somebody in church? He said, I knock on prophecy now. He said, I knock on prophecy. No, when I first said it, I was very angry. How could he do that? Then when I heard the background to it, I realized that it's not good to knock prophecy, but man, both of them they are guilty. And it's the second party that I'm talking about. I know why I went to this. That you will account for everything before the Lord. That's what I'm trying to explain. Why didn't knock on prophecy? He said, this guy can't judge. No. Of course, he didn't have anything. He didn't have nothing. He was hearing the word. They were praying, prophesying, and the word works. So, how do you know the word works? Next thing, the guy buy motor. Next thing, he married. Next thing, he built a house. Then he bought a second car. The same church, the same prophet. See, Haggai was prophesying. Zechariah was prophesying. Zerubbabel was doing exploits. Meanwhile, Haggai did lean. Zechariah did lean. Zerubbabel was saying that not by might, not by power, but by the Spirit. The two olive trees, no manure. And you want the oil to keep flowing undiluted, unpolluted. That guy was watching. He said, at that point, the guy bought a third car. The guy provoked. He was confessing. He said, "Nah, I'm not can prophecy." Said, "The Lord said." The Lord said. Now, was he lying? Yes. Shared in half. Half for the man, half for the person with the knack prophecy. Each one of us will give what? Account. We will give account. See, I'm talking about pleasing God. That even when it comes to time, I saw that God gave me time. And then I said, "God, what is the time for?" There was a time I was using his time for something else. I freed the time. That's half it. Because if you see, sometimes sin is divided into two, even though it looks like one to the average person. The sin of Adam was dual. He said, how did he say it again? Anyway, two things. When God, I like to say these things correctly. When God was judging Adam, his sin was dual. It looks like one to us, but to God it was dual. He said, God said to, yes, two things. Then to Adam he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife, that's one, and have eaten from the tree about which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat. Two sins. It looks like one, but to God it is two. He told Israel, you have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters. That's one sin. Then you went to do what? Heal for yourself cisterns that can hold no water. When God breaks down sin for you, in fact, you tell God, don't talk again. I'm just going to help by myself. Where's the door? When not for the grace of Jesus, we do things wrong. So when he breaks it down. So for me, I got that time back. But did I use it for what it was meant for? That's why I falling asleep anyhow. So I didn't give it time so you can be falling asleep. So I woke up. Of course, the moment I realized what was going on, that was why you got worship and self-control. A few weeks after I recovered, before I was afflicted, I went astray. A few weeks after, and that book, I said that one, just that one is ready. In fact, I carry it around up and down. Okay, God helping me. Judah, you've not been doing your work of reminding me. We walk by faith. So every time I sit down now, I'm cranking out instructions. They say, okay, sit at home on Mondays. We sit at Kingdom Word on Mondays. Many of you know. Because you have to give account. It's even time I'm talking about. I use that morning thing to let people know that many preachers who are telling lies now, it is not them God will ask. It's a man who's traveling up and down the world, enjoying himself. They're chopping large. God say, okay. No problem. They chop, they go. They fat, they go. One day you will explain. I will show you the... Do you hear what I said? Of your what? Not tithing. Of what? Tithing. 10%. Why? You were giving me 10% and then you freed yourself. So when you are flying, you say, God will protect me. Why? I gave him 10%. When you are going to where you're not supposed to go, you say, God will protect me. Why? I gave him 10%. Because meanwhile, my commandment in your life, if you had obeyed it, nothing less than 75% of your income will have gone out in gifts and offerings and sorts. You give me 10%, then you buy a house abroad. Then you give 10%. And you carry over money to go and eat ice cream in Dubai. These people are very funny. When they want to do bad, they pay God first. You know, their conscience will be telling them, this you want to do. Is it the best use of your money? Say, honey, have we done our first fruit? Yes, sweetheart, we did in February, second week. Our tithe is complete. Some people send money to Kingdom Word. If you are there, let's just listen to, I laugh at you sometimes, even though you're a good person basically, but you should do some things. You send offerings like 10,952 naira. Like say, what's wrong with just rounding it up? What is just make it 11,000? I say, no, not tight. See what kind of thing is this? So you see God the vex if the thing pass. Okay, he go vex if it's short, I know. But if you, let us assume that, like Crefludola said in that message, that one day miss is tied by a few cents. Then somebody carry stone, breaking glass. And I said, God, just for a few cents, you can't even overlook 20 cents. Maybe he tied to us, he just missed. He said, okay, he rounded it down. Okay, let us even assume it's true that God was angry. Round it up now. How you go to send offering that is 10,980 naira? Are you selling in Walmart? 999. Please, brethren, just round it up next time, okay? Yes, I'm talking to you. You say, no, look, God is not angry when you round it up. So if I round it down, okay, maybe he will be angry. I'm not saying he will be, but let us. So this woman I was telling you about her husband, they will now say, okay, honey, how much is our tithe? It's 1.8 million. Okay, just make it 2.5. So if you're like that, it's not acceptable. Christians do it. You buy freedom to spend the balance. So when you are spending the balance, your conscience go calm. When you're eating, please don't be angry. I'm not threatening you, but I must say it. Because should I make you sick small so you'll understand my point? Should I just give you small sickness, pursue it around for like 6 months? Then you get my point. Then you give the doctor a percentage so that you can go around. Do you do that? You don't do that. You pursue health with aggression. You know what I found out in medicine? The most expensive drugs are the most ineffective for what they are treating. Let me say it again, so that you hear me well. The most expensive drugs are the most ineffective for what they are treating. What do you mean? What does it cost to cure malaria? There are anti-malaria that are 600 naira as of today. For those who don't know, we're talking about $1. And they work. One day my friend came from America. He wanted to buy some anti-malarials because he lives in America. Sometimes he comes to Nigeria, he has to take prophylaxis for malaria. So he went to one shop. So I wanted to buy one particular drug. Let me not prescribe drug online. So I asked them, so he said, okay. So I asked the guys, they told me the amount. I'm like, is that not expensive? He tapped me, said, no. Bring like 5, like 5 packs. More than, he didn't want no. Okay, but give me 3. I said, Banky, wait. So anyway, make a long story short, each pack came to like $2. Oh, let's be Banky, what do you mean it's expensive? Say if I bought it in America, each pack was like maybe like, let me not exaggerate, okay? But compared to what he was buying in, if I remember well, each pack was something between, I can't remember for sure, but $20 and $100. He said if I bought it back in America, but buying in Nigeria, genuine from the company that makes the best, like maybe $1 or $2 a pack for malaria. And guess what? It works like what? Fire. Somebody say fire. Fire. It works like fire. One of the cheapest antibiotics, you give them for a boil. The boil will melt in 36 hours. How much are they? In dollars, $10. $20. In naira, how much are we talking about? A few thousands, and you're okay. The cure. Presenting. So I asked my colleagues who are more into cancer therapy. I said, what does the woman get for this? So it can extend life by like 8 months. Like, So no, let me die. Use the money to take care of my kids. Yeah, because I'm not talking 10 naira. I'm talking of drugs of like monthly. You take it for 6-7 months, 600,000 a month. Sometimes when we're discussing, they say, okay, this person is in pain. Okay, let's send for radiotherapy to reduce the pain. 300K. Some of these sicknesses, they are of the devil. That is, they don't just kill you, they impoverish you first. As the family is grasping at every straw, everything, you see millions will be melting. Haba! At such times, you don't calculate a percentage of nothing. That's the point I'm making. You don't calculate a percentage of, also my understanding, just look at it. You're paying that. People are investing money. Why? They can't sit down and do nothing. Sometimes doctors in Nigeria will say, okay, this is okay. They say, no, let's all go to India. The Indians will let you come to tell you the same thing the doctor said in Nigeria. So I tell people, when people tell me I'm calculating for God, I say, you don't appreciate anything. Something's wrong with you. Yeah, seriously. So that's why I talk the way I talk. I say, do you know life? If God wants to teach you a lesson, He will give you something to chase for 6 months. At the end of 6 months, doctor, now let me cure you. Wipes it out. Doctor said, I think we made a mistake. They didn't make a mistake. So God just said, now you have learned that when things matter to you, don't make calculations. I wanted to make my wife happy. Okay, let me change your car. I scraped every naira and every dollar I saw in every corner. Just my wife. Every naira and every dollar I saw in every corner. And then you want me to answer that you give God 10%. What's wrong with us? I mean, how we take reach there? Let's love the Lord. That's the point I'm making. Let's aim to please Him in everything. Wasn't that what Paul told us? Let's leave the Christianity of legalism. You don't have problems. No, you don't. You have problems. If you get problem, you will kneel down. They say, go, come, let's go. Say, I'm coming, remain small. We're about to break through. You're taking for God. You know, some people, the one that makes me laugh, some people have done some things. They actually expect God to do them something, give me something. Like my son said once, I said, let me help you with your homework. He said, no. I was taken aback. I want to help you with your homework. That was actually when I was a little boy. He said, no, mommy will help me. But mommy is not available now. I'm very available. He said, when mommy finishes helping me, she'll give me something. I said, oh, that's the deal. That's how some of us behave. And it doesn't matter of fact, like, Daddy, don't worry. All the homework, write A, A, B, all those kind of things. Some of us, when we've done something small, expect God to give us something. I came for, what do you call that thing? Business by the Spirit. And we were here on Friday. And we were on Saturday morning till night. After that, God will give me something. Because I don't want to give anybody anything. I must not give you something because you came to bless yourself. Instead of people to rejoice that, I'm not the person I used to be. Now I please God more. This was how I was doing my business before. I did not know it was displeasing to the Lord. Was it Joash that they found a scroll? Talked somewhere in the temple. The commandments of Moses concerning worship. And they saw they had been doing everything wrong. He tore his clothes. Like what? Christians must be consumed with the pleasure of God. That should be the yardstick. Am I pleasing God or am I not pleasing God? That's the yardstick. It's not have I pressed certain keys to get a miracle out of him. A smile, a nod, a look of approval from the Lord should be more important to you than any miracle you can collect for yourself. I never forgot what one brother said. He said, mansion in heaven. He said, I don't care about mansion in heaven. I just want to hear, well done, and faithful servant. He said, if after that, he said, I should go and sit on a mango tree. He said, I'm fine. I never forgot it. So let me just hear it, well done, thou good and faithful servant. After that, I don't care. To him, according to him, that's my greatest reward. That's what I'm looking forward to. I want God to say, this is my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. So that's it. And when I'm walking on the road, when I say, stop, I will look at you and say, do you know this is his beloved son, in whom he is well pleased? And I'm wearing my tattered clothes. I will smile everywhere. If you say, God, stay at the back of the hall, you can't come to the front. You're not beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. You know, feeding on that alone will give you satisfaction for breakfast. I've eaten this morning. Yes, what did you eat? I just remembered he said to me, this is my son, in whom I am well pleased. A major problem in life is that we derive satisfaction from things that don't matter. People of God, let's bear it in mind. That's what we're talking about. So that's why God doesn't give visions the way many of us will want to receive visions. Sometimes I want to pray, say, Lord, tell me where am I going to go next week? Because if I tell you where you will be according to my will next week, you just make that choice and you will miss the process. You will not become. Do you understand my point? Yes, I won't change you. You just make a choice. I will, see, you're going to be somewhere next week according to my will. But this is how you will get there. I will put 10 junctions in front of you. And you will, by instruction and understanding, choose the right road. I will reward you not for being in the center of my perfect will, but for choosing the right road 10 times in a row. It's like mathematics. The teachers call steps. Yes. So the students are taught, especially in secondary school, even again. We know the answer is 5.8. Press 5.8, without giving us the steps, we should give you -1. You cheated. So you first have to tell us board mass. Based on board mass, I know some of you are confused already. That's why you didn't pass mass in primary school. You will learn it by force. You think you have escaped? So because of board mass, I group these ones in the bracket, and this one I work them out first. Okay? And I moved all of this to this side. They are scoring each point. Then finally, the last point was 11.6 divided by 2, which works out to 5.8. Assuming now say which works out to 5.3, which is wrong. They will still give you 9/10. Why? That's a mistake. They know. If you know all these steps, that's a mistake. But you didn't get the figure, okay, we'll forgive you. But we won't give you the mark. Okay, let's just give you 9/10. That is how it is in working with God also. Many of us want to pray. Hey, Krabakoshta, Father God, you will speak to me. Hey, talk. I hear. I tune my ears. Wait. And we have heard all kinds of nonsense. Because spiritual realm is full of chatter. Talk. So what happens when we tune to what we think is Holy Spirit frequency? When we don't hear anything, it's supposed to be 98.5. You just shift to 98.55. That's demonic frequency. You don't know. You shift it down the other way, is your own spirit frequency. Why was it that you were missing it? Because the Lord wasn't saying anything. And you had made up your mind you must hear something. So when you tune this way, you've done radio tuning before. Just one tiny fraction. You are hearing another channel. You turn, so many people have heard different channels. Because somebody said, I want you to speak in tongues for 5 hours after fasting, God will speak to you. God will say, is it by force? Okay, I'm not talking. Today, all the angels have joined us. They are not carrying messages. You must hear. They used to tell us in school, they say, dude, there's no how. God will talk. God will speak. God will speak. It's not true. He has spoken. It's in your Bible. Many times he doesn't want to give any special conversation. He doesn't want to give any special conversation or any special instruction. All he wants to give is 10 junctions. And because many things in life, you are being tested, you are being proved. And the test for the day in the next junction. Where do I go next? You wake up in the morning, there are just two roads, left or right. Then my brain does instruct me in the night seasons. The things you've learned over time will tell you, if you go this road on this right side, it shows you don't believe those things you've been saying for the last 1 year. It's true. Then can you testify fully of this, or you have to hide this and hide that? Then you look. The other road is called the gate of righteousness. You enter it. There's not much in front of it, but at least you rejected what was evil. Deeds of darkness. What are deeds of darkness? Things you have to hide. Because number one, that's one point, he has called you there. Then you go like that. Number two, he gives you another one, another level. This one requires you to pray. It needs a friend. I remember one day somebody invited me for something. You know? But the person spoke and spoke and spoke. I said, okay, please let me think about it. She was quite persuasive. But it wasn't the kind of thing. So I was just thinking, my wife now said, I asked my wife, what do I do? She said, if it was one poor pastor's wife that asked you for this, will you consider going? I just called the person and said, sorry, I can't come. It dawned on me that all this one, I'm not sure, is because of the financial caliber of the person invited. Once you just put it like that, I said, why are we even thinking about this? For this particular program, will you go? And it hit me. And I was praying about this. I was thinking about this. No, that was the counsel. I realized it was only a prayer point because of respect for man. I said, no, if only to prove to God, I no go. That's what God does. It tosses another junction. Each junction is testing your adherence to instruction, to understanding he gave you before. So sometimes it doesn't just jump and tell you something. He said, make up your mind. When he says make up your mind, it's not as if he has left everything to you. No, to use your wisdom. No. He said, I've been instructing you. Use the instructions I have given you over time to make decisions 10 times. The 10th time, you will find my will. The 10th time, you will find my will. That's what he says. So if you want to walk in the will of God all the time, it's not to go and learn how to pray until you hear something. It's continue to pray until you understand his will. What is the will of God? You know, if our Bible study, we discussed this before. We have a Bible study series on it. I tried to pull it out when as I was about to come up. I said, no, this thing will come up. And good enough, I just reached there now. Many times people say, what is the will of God? What did they mean? I'm going to buy this handkerchief. Should I take a white one or a blue one? That's what they call the will of God. That's what they call the will of God. And each one, to be honest, God has, let me remove the word will for a moment. God has a decision on each of these. So I'm not saying he doesn't. But oftentimes people limit that to the will of God alone. That's the only thing they call the will of God. They limit that, those decision-making issues. That's what they call the will of God. But it's beyond that. The will of God, one, different things use the Bible to describe that it's different. What thing am I saying? Different things described as the will of God, yes, in scriptures. They're up to, then we counted about 6 of them, yeah. Number 1, our life, the will of God in our lifestyle. For example, if you go and read Romans chapter 12, verse 1, what did he say? Don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed, God is. So how you reason? You can be reasoning in the will of God or reasoning out of the will of God. Like I told you, I was having a discussion, well, an argument actually, with a colleague. And he was trying to say to me that if I'm saying that a place like Covenant University, because he said that, that Bishop Oyedepo is cleaning out. What started it was, anyway, let me not get us into much gist. Let me leave that. I said, what do you mean? He was explaining out. He gave me a calculation of what the children pay, the students pay, how many they are, and if all of them paid, it showed that it came to a few billions every year. I said, is that so? He said, yes. I said, please give me an idea of the expenditure that goes with that. He refused to answer. I said, no, now, you just told me this is the revenue. How do you tell me somebody is making profit without comparing with expenditure? He refused. I said, look, obviously you just want to believe what you want to believe. There was time we had a long discussion like that, and I told people that, look, you guys, one of my friends is a professor in America, a professor of energy law. He said, he was so happy somebody said something. He said he doesn't like talking when people are talking because people are too ignorant about what goes on in education. One day, I said to them, the fair tuition that will cover just your lecturer salaries alone is 2 million naira a year. That will not pay your bursar. It will not pay for hostel. It will just give them enough money to pay your lecturer. And you probably give them like 2.6, 2.8. You know how much they pay? 250,000. I said, people saying the government is not trying. I said, government is trying. I give them the calculation. I showed it to them, the proportion of lecturers to students, how many things you need, the way medical training is. Medical training is funny. For example, now, you will say that, okay, you are teaching pathology, all right? But they do the calculation for you, and the number of students approved. 10 lecturers to teach. These guys, you must pay them. You know the way ASU people are. After delegates, now ASU. sorry, I mean, I'm not vexed. Just a joke. I mean, a joke. The point is that you pay. And the funny thing is that the private universities pay exactly the same. Otherwise, they will not get lecturers. They can owe you. Some of them go, oh, but at least they must sign that they will pay that amount. I did the calculation. I said, my friend, you guys should. In fact, I found out recently that for that state university I'm telling you about, the money is shared. The state pays, the local governments all contribute to that college. I was asking my colleague the other day, now told me that is why each local government is guaranteed a certain number of admissions. He said, because they are the ones funding the school. So that they said number, they've shared it out. That is, each local government, this is yours. So when they collect JAMB result, each local government will bring out their candidates because it's our money. So by the time you're seeing that they are paying 250 instead of 2.5 million, they have a 90% discount. That money is coming from somewhere. So we sat down analyzing. Look, I've taken you from the main thing I'm trying to say. We analyzed. Man said, no, if Covenant University was not making money, why are they opening another one, Landmark? Why are they planning to open another one? I said, do you understand what they call mission? Down here, those of you, inner caucus people, to check what each radio station is bringing into Kingdom World Ministries? Yet from this Monday, if I've not told you here, this Monday, we are kicking off in Abuja. 5 times a week. This next week, Monday, today's what? Saturday. In 2 days, 6:45 in the morning, Jordan FM. Who cares? But we have a mission. As long as God supplies. Abuja, is it 26th? Yes, that is up to number 26. So I told them, once Abuja kicks off, guys, put break first. Who has ever sat down to say, where's money coming from? Where's money not coming from? As long as the money comes and we can pay. See, why am I saying this? So we got into that, at the end of the day, they said, let me teach you business 101. I said, you don't understand. So I realized that the man, I told him, oh, for you, money is king. I said, for me, mission is king. Let's leave it there. I said, obviously, we will not come into any agreement. Because for you, it's just about money. That how can somebody open one university, go to another one? Please, let me use Kingdom World. How can you go on one radio station, go to another? And you are telling me you guys are not making money. Now, you know what? You cannot argue with that person. You can't. Because obvious, Every decision is money calibrated, money driven. Yes, I know there are pastors who do it. They won't open a branch except they've done the financials. We're talking about the will of God. So we have two situations: mission mind, money mind. So am I mission minded or money minded? One of them is what is called the will of God. So the will of God is not just, did you open the university, did you go on that radio station, or you did not? It's what is driving you. What is driving you? That is the will of God. So that is the reason you can't be telling me, does God want me to marry this person or not? God says, you are getting the point wrong. You are getting it wrong. We have not reached the point of who. We are still on the point of why. We are still on the point of purpose. We are still on the point of, because if you stay on this issue, we don't iron that, you will get a who. Because God is the most don't like for God. People don't like it. Say, God has deceived men, have been deceived. God deceives people. In quotes, please. What do you mean? He said, to the crafty, I will show myself as crafty. He is not a deceptive person. But if you don't understand him, you will come to him, and your name is Balaam. Should I follow Balaam? Can you say go? Then on the way, he wants to kill you. Why? Because when he said go, you have been deceived. Why didn't he tell me not to go? Did he not tell you the first time? Why are you making him repeat himself? Instead of him repeating himself, why didn't you say, once he has spoken twice, I'll keep on hearing that thing again and again. So when you came back the next time to ask him, should I go? He reasoned with himself, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So this one wants to go, and nothing will be withheld from him that he wants to do. So actually, he's not giving you his perfect will. He's giving you his judgmental decree. Having considered everything, I hereby authorize you to go. It is not that it pleases me. That is why the Lord spoke to me is not the same thing as it pleased the Lord. The Lord spoke to me is not the same thing as it pleased. It's not the same thing as it pleased the Lord. Because indeed, the Lord spoke to Balaam, but it did not please the Lord. And the Lord showed up by an angel on the way to show him where, except that the Lord sent his spirit into his donkey, and the donkey avoided death on his behalf. So many times people come and say, what is God? God says, hey, wait. We have not reached the place of what yet. First hurdle, let's cross it, of why you are doing what you are doing. That's why God can't talk to people. Because they are asking the wrong question. Lord, these three men are saying I should marry them. Which one should I marry? God said, he. Why? You have not even asked yourself, what is this marriage thing about? How is it going to help me serve you better? After all, anyone that's living without having the purpose of spreading the knowledge of Christ is dead while still alive. We'll discuss that on Tuesday. God says, see, you are not asking me the right questions. You have not even gotten to the place of the important thing. Yet you are fasting. So you will fast until a hole opens in your stomach and communicates with the exterior. And not that I won't answer you. I can't answer you. It's like you come to me, I speak only Russian, and you speak only Portuguese. Okay, let me speak a language. I speak only Russian, you speak only English. I don't understand it with ordinary words. Okay, on the phone. Good. You can't use gesture because you communicate three ways: word, gestures, and spirit. That code taught us those days. All right? So you can only use words. You're on the phone. So you are talking and talking and talking. You know, there's no point continuing the conversation. I can't answer you. Why? I don't understand what you're saying. And if I were to be able to receive inspiration concerning your question, I also can't answer you. Why? you won't understand what I'm saying. And my experience in life over these years is that I have seen God say things to people which I understood, and the person fully 100% misunderstood. And there's no way of arguing with the individual because he's thinking on base 8, you're on base 5. You're on two different bases. So many times people are asking, what is the will of God? God says, I can't talk to you. We're not speaking the same language yet. God, what you call my will is, there are 3 men here who wants to marry me. Which one of them will buy my mother the ring? My favorite actress used for a marriage that lasted 18 months is the one I want to wear. And it's expensive. And I don't have time for all this rental thing because I'm going to wear it on my 10th anniversary. I'm going to wear it on my 25th anniversary. And you've read too much. You've read so much useless romance novels and the history of celebrities in America. Your brain is not working again. That's what you're asking. You don't know. And you're like, I have to, which one of them will build a house faster? Because, it's inside your heart. Too. And the other day, my friends, one of my aunties, her husband died. Which one will live to 115? Because they want to be a widow. Those are the 3 questions they're asking. You have not said, God, which one pleases you? They're just asking which one is going to satisfy my standards are placed in my heart. So you pray, one day, God cannot answer. You pray, I will give you the one, listen to this, that satisfies, listen to this, all the desires of your heart. And he gives you that one. Because you ask for, Abi, he will live very long, he will buy all the wedding things properly, and he will build the house on time. And you will get that, then you will now know that life has about 25,000 other variables. Your bitch, that is, you didn't do anything. No? They want to do Ogboju. Somebody went and told you that, listen, don't be soft for any man. If you rise up, he throws you from upstairs. You think the guy is joking. The day you rose up, he threw you from upstairs. Now for orthopedic who can't see you, where did they bend your leg? That day you realize that this guy is not joking. They now discover that his grandfather used to sell Igbo. His father started smoking at 12. I don't mean cigarette. I mean the thing. That he was possessed with alcoholism from his mother. And you don't want an alcoholic in your house. He has money, but he's high on drugs perpetually. But God spoke to me that he was my husband. What was it? I heard what you call Cinderella's dress. I got Cinderella's dress. Don't worry. His drugs will not kill him. He's going to live to be very old. That's it. Then every day you are in pain. Those people were laughing at who didn't get Cinderella dress. They didn't build a house like that too. Maybe they will live to be only 85. But they are going to be married for 60 years of perfect bliss. The only problem is that they go to church too much. My husband is only going to church. They've gone for evangelical areas. Those children, evangelists from their mother's home. John the Baptist, Jesus Christ, Peter, John. Those are the children he has. Yes. The very things you despised. When we're talking about the will of God, you have to understand it. God, you can force God to talk. I've heard people say that, and before God spoke. It doesn't, me now. It doesn't impress me because I know God speaks. Don't be talking divine. There were things he said to Moses. Jesus said, leave that thing. I was the one that told Moses. What do you mean? In the beginning, it was not so. So why did you not tell them that they could divorce their wife? He said, because of the hardness of their hearts. Leave that thing. That's as if you don't love God, it's hard to follow. That's why Jeremiah said, keep using King James, he said, the Lord has deceived me and I've been deceived. Correct translation. But people couldn't believe it. They said, the Lord has persuaded me, I've been persuaded. They've tried to explain it. But it's just that to the crafty, he appears as what? Crafty. He said, I will manifest myself as crafty to the one who's crafty. So when we are saying, what is the will of God? These are the questions, these are the things we have to understand. It's not just about a specific decision. Number one is your lifestyle, your manner of conduct and reasoning. So that's why we confess all the time. In Colossians chapter 1, we say we are being filled with the knowledge of his will, in all spiritual wisdom and understanding. As a result of this, we are walking in a manner worthy of the Lord, to please him in all respects. That's it. Because that's the will of God. It's not just about a specific decision. Paul said, this is the will of God concerning you, your sanctification. Then let's just read that one. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. They now began to break those things down for them. Let me start from verse 2. He said, for you know what commandments we gave you by the authority of the Lord Jesus. For this is the will of God, your sanctification. Not a specific decision, but total change in your life, cleansing. That is that you abstain from sexual immorality. That each one of you know how, there's a process, to possess his own vessel in sanctification and honor, not in lustful passion, like the Gentiles who do not know God. And that no one transgress and defraud his brother in the matter, because the Lord is the avenger of all these things. Just as we also told you before and solemnly warned you. For God has not called us for the purpose of impurity, but in sanctification. Let's just stop that in that verse 7. So you see, that is the will of God. It's not just a decision, but what's your whole life like? What's your whole life like? He said in verse 13 of 1 Peter chapter 2, submit yourselves to the Lord, for the Lord's sake, to every human authority, whether to a king as the one in authority, or to the governors as sent, is the will of God, that by doing right you may silence the ignorance of foolish men. Did you see that? The will of God is how you live your life, even when it comes to relating with authority, with government. We discussed it then in our Bible study. Another one, when we talk about the will of God, what is the overall plan of God for mankind? That was our second point. And I can say that one clearly. He was establishing Jesus as Lord. So you're asking God, though, please, God says, these things you are asking about, have you even asked Jesus as Lord? So when we talk about the will of God, it will refer to the eternal and overall plan. I'm giving you the list we had in our Bible study. All right? That's what if it's a script I'm looking at here. Then again, we also describe a person's life. It's also the will of God. That is, are you called to be, to be a preacher? Are you called to be an apostle, evangelist, pastor, or teacher? Or are you Bezalel that does artistic things? Because each person has a calling. We also call that what? The will of God. So when I want to go and pray, like those brethren will say, just talking about, no, they're not joking, really talking. Say that would like that. What are they trying to talk? That is, they're talking about preachers, young preachers. You want to marry? Make sure she's ministry material. They don't mean she has to be a preacher, but at least she has to be somebody who has passion for the things of ministry. And will be willing to sacrifice so that you can do the will of God when it comes to preaching the word of God. I hope you're getting my point here. Yes, so, you see, God's specific plan and purpose for your life is also one of the things you call the will of God. You see, Paul talked about the Ephesians chapter 1. Let's quickly read that one also. In fact, the other day we were teaching in the house. And we quoted this out of 2 Timothy chapter 1, right? Yes. He said, Paul, an apostle of Christ Jesus. How? By the will of God. Not by desire. Not by desire. Not by convenience. Not by education. We suffer for my sake. Paul was talking about Paul. Jesus was talking about Paul. He will take my gospel before the Gentiles. He will stand before kings. That was the will of. So Paul said, I'm an apostle. And we said here the other thing, we were talking about the issue of a ministry. That is it right to use title? And I said something that Paul never minced words. Well, after we left here, I realized, no, I didn't really answer the correct question. You know why we say, should we use titles? Because now title is a badge of honor. That time, that title he was using was a badge of slavery. I hope you're getting my point. It means when you come and say Paul an apostle, it means Paul, the sufferer for Jesus. Paul, who forsook his PhD, is poor, but making many rich. Paul, who is shipwrecked, but will still come back on the same voyage tomorrow to preach the same gospel, for which cause he was imprisoned in the place he's going to. Paul, the scum of the earth for your sake. Paul, who goes hungry many times for your sake. Paul, who is doing his own portion in that which is lacking in the sacrifice of Jesus. When he used the term apostle, it didn't mean Paul, who flies a private jet. It didn't mean Paul, who eats anything he likes anytime. Paul, who commands all the branches and they all ties to him. Remember that's our doctrine? That all the tithes went to Peter. That's why Paul did not teach about tithing. Do you remember? This guy's relative. That's it.